What do you have to say? I ain't got shit to say. I'm the king of bird. How about you?
I'll find my mum if she can make weight.
Who's fucking next?
Eternal MMA Uncensored.
You want to start it from now?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Welcome.
What is that? What even is
I don't
that?
know. I'm just like playing a couple. Like, we are live, ladies and gentlemen, in the bunker.
The bunker.
Yeah, the dungeon. It's got a lock on it. Episode 3 of Emma Uncensored.
5 actually.
5, yes, 5 of the stuff ups. 3 of the proper ones. Yes, these are the proper ones. So,
Please don't call it Emma either.
Eternal Mixed Martial Arts Uncensored podcast.
Yes,
Episode 3.
Much
Try typing that in. Guys, head over to, if you're on YouTube, head over to iTunes, subscribe to Eternal MMA. If you're on iTunes, go to YouTube, subscribe to Eternal MMA. You can watch fights, and plus we'll chuck this up and loads more of other stuff. I'm joined by the one and only Ben Vickers.
Thank the world there is only one of me.
Yes. He's a bit hard to deal with. He's always grumpy.
I hear that.
And, my name is Mitch Tilly. I'm your host, I guess, for when Ben starts talking Cockney or whatever you guys speak.
Apples and pears, governor.
Yeah, we're going to cover everything. Obviously, big event coming up, Eternal 27, Reign Supreme. Sounds like
I'm glad you didn't say UFC 214. I was about to slap the shit out of you, boy. My little arms can just about reach.
Oh, no. We will talk about it one day. Everyone's like, talk about UFC. No one says that. But we might. You never know. Obviously, we've got our big event coming up over the weekend. So we're definitely diving into that. We got 2 interviews. So it's not just us. Guys, don't click off just yet. We've got 2 great interviews. Justin Van Heerden and Diego Pereira, the Black Panther. Pereira.
You just spoke to him on the phone. He told you his name.
Yeah, it's words in my mouth. I can't do them.
For a man who makes a living off of...
it's quite weird. I can just go, fighting, and that's about it.
But don't make out that that's your money maker. You work for Eternal.
Well, it's definitely not. It's definitely not the money maker working for Eternal. There's also another Australian MMA event, but we don't talk about those. We're only talking about the main one, which is Reign Supreme, the pizza.
We can talk about Hex a little bit as well. I'm sort of interested. I'm interested in the Hex card. Absolutely.
I'm a bit annoyed Hex didn't hit me up. They had Kit Campbell and they had Kim Piper, obviously the female aspect, because you need that in radio. But radio won't just have MMA fighters. They like the female aspect. I guess it says, hey, public, it's okay to watch. I don't know. That's
okay. So
it's weird how to do that.
What were you trying to...
But 6PR, they're on 6PR. Fucking, who listens to 6PR? Well, 92.9. Come on, hit me up. Obviously, don't want to be a part. I reckon it's you guys.
I think you need to chase them, mate.
Mate, I don't need to. I don't need to chase them. Right? The UFC will come to me. Okay. I think it's being connected to you guys. They're just like, oh, well, we can't.
We have a perfectly good relationship with Hex. So.
Or maybe they talked to you and you said he's shit. Don't go to him.
Yeah, that's more. Yeah, sorry.
But they obviously have their big event, first fight since the cage ban lifted.
Yeah.
They're flying over Robert Whittaker. What do you think of that?
I don't know why you do that, but
I think
good for him. I mean, good for Robert Whittaker's first Aussie UFC champ. So
interim.
He's a UFC champ. He wears the UFC belt, and no one deserves it.
Oh my god, it's only a matter of time.
I'm over the moon, and it'll be great to have him in Perth. I hope he enjoys the event, and good. I'm glad he's coming over.
I'll chase him. Get him on.
Yeah. I've actually interviewed him before on
you said that.
Scrappy MMA.
You name dropped that. But I had
his old man was a big fan of the Scrappy MMA.
Should have got him over.
I just want to say in terms of the subscribing and all that stuff, what we're going to do for the next show. So next weekend, we need, if you review the podcast on iTunes. And it has to be a good review.
Yeah.
Okay. Not Mitchell's write as a shit review quiz. Okay, so we will be picking one winner who writes a review, and we'll give you 2 tickets to the Reign Supreme. Then,
regular retail
if you're in Perth, write a review. We'll give you 2 tickets to the September 16th show. And then October 21st Gold Coast show, we'll give you 2 tickets for that also. So we'll be picking winners. So just put where you're from, which show you want to go to, and write some reviews. Get some reviews helps with getting the podcast out there. So yeah, we're giving away tickets. 2 tickets per show for the rest of the year.
And those tickets are not cheap.
Well, last show, if you wanted to come to the last Perth show, you wouldn't have got a ticket because they sold out.
That's true.
So, so yeah, it's a good way of snagging yourself a couple of tickets. It'll take 2 minutes of your time. And
You can sit next to me. No, don't worry. We'll get you good tickets.
How do I end up working with this idiot?
But obviously, I just said earlier, we spoke to Diego Pereira. We're also talking to Justin Van Heerden.
Yes.
South African fella. He's if you haven't seen his fights, go check those out.
The Eternal MMA YouTube channel has pretty much every fight we've ever done on there. So if you want to look at a fighter before you see them fight and get a bit of an idea of what they're all about, then that's the place to go do it.
Yeah, I'm yet to see another YouTube. Ben's just going out to do some shit. I've yet to see a YouTube channel of an MMA promotion have so many fights available. I think it's really good, especially if you're fighting. You can if it's a guy that's fought on Eternal, boom, look him up straight away. Your full fight's right there. So you have a 9-second knockout like Diego did, or Rain, where Ryan Gray kneed the kid, and that went fucking viral. That was really good. It's all up there. They all film it for you, so it's always good. So obviously subscribe to.
When you said
YouTube.
The Kid, did you know his nickname was The Kid?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know some shit. I'm not that.
I thought you just recorded randomly.
I probably should have said that nickname, The Kid. Yeah, just sounds
Good
like
for
I'm
you,
like
Mitch.
the Kid. Hey, I do research.
I'm proud of you, mate.
Thanks.
That's
I know.
fucking awesome.
No, it's not just all MMA clinic guys. I learned some more. It's just Steve Kennedy, MMA clinic. That's where you think I run out, isn't it?
And Hex Fighters.
And Hex Fighters. But no, there's some other good ones like Dean Abramo. He's going to be a fucking champion. And then I'll come back and say I told you so. Alright.
Rog.
So, other fights coming up. We've obviously went through them all last week. After further review, any fights you're really looking forward to for the next one?
No, like, as we've discussed before, like it's a great card, and I look forward to all Eternal fights. And what I actually do like doing is, when I get a chance, is looking at the undercard and the hungry guys coming up trying to make a name for themselves. So I enjoy the undercard as much as I enjoy sort of the main event fights. And it's awesome to find like debut fighters and stuff like that, and you look at them and you think, oh, there's a talent for the future. And then because the show's been running so long, we've got guys that I remember thinking that about that are now getting up towards sort of main eventing and definitely like featuring on the main card and turning pro and stuff like that.
That's what I really like about a lot of the Eternal guys. Some guys have been fighting 2-3 times a year on Eternal, and you watch them grow within that whole year, and you almost they build up a little fan base, and you know what type of fight to expect out of people. So it's really good. Like the Nick Wood Alden Bates fight, that was the first one I ever commentated on. Watched it, but before that, I knew those two fighters from seeing all the YouTube videos you guys rolled out and being like mutual friends with people, and then getting to see them fight. If you felt like personally invested,
yeah, you build a story. I think the key and what we try and do with Eternal is have you a little bit invested in the fighters, even if they're not from your gym or they're not from your hometown or whatever. And like hopefully that's what this podcast is going to help people like Diego, people like Justin, who are just starting their pro careers, to get a fan base wider than just their gym and their friends and their family. And their fighting skills will do that for them, obviously.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you got to be able to throw a punch, but all this other shit's just going to help.
But Ryan was always a big one. Like he had a fan base in Tasmania because of the way he fights and the way he walked out to the cage and his character. So he built a fan base because he never fought in Perth because obviously with the cage bans and not enough shows, we were travelling for his first. I think his first 6 fights were all interstate. So, but he was actually getting people coming to the shows, interested in him, and he'd get one of the biggest cheers of the night, even as far as Tasmania, just because he had the exposure. He had a podcast and also the way he fought and carried himself around fight week.
Speaking of that, do you have any fighters that almost refused to fight because it had to be in a ring in WA? Do you think the amount of fighters and the amount of people...
There are a couple of people, yeah. I mean, we had... I can't remember who it was now, but a friend of mine from Sydney, Luke Martin, he has a big fight team and he's always very active in putting fighters on Eternal, and he actually brought a fighter over, Bowen Cornish, to fight Ryan for the first ever Eternal Perth main event, and it ended up after that fight, Luke was a bit not pissed off, but he didn't like the fight being in the ring, and he said, I'd happily come back and fight on Eternal Perth, but not until there's a cage.
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely put people off. There were fighters from Melbourne that said they'd love to fight in Perth, but they wouldn't come and fight without the cage. So yeah, we definitely did lose a few opportunities there to match people.
Because a lot of people work on, and even in a basic MMA class, you work on wall walking and against the wall and against the cage. You can't necessarily do that in
Look,
the ring.
I'll be honest. I'll be completely honest. I've never trained my fighters in a ring, even though they were fighting in the ring, because I'm looking further down the line at their development, and if they're going to go anywhere, they're going to be fighting in a cage, not in a ring.
That's the thing with them bringing in the cage. Everyone was like, "Oh, well, how will you guys deal with it?"
But I did ease back on the sort of cage fighting, so we didn't spend as much time on working on the cage and using the cage and stuff like that, which is now great to know that we can firmly focus on that, and that's where the guys will be fighting and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a pain in the ass, but we got through it, and here we are. Like the September show here is going to be so amazing.
Yeah.
To be in the Italian club, I've no doubt it's going to sell out. I've already got a super exciting card planned. Got a few fights in the works, a few fights already made, some local favourites, some interstate guys. Trying to involve some different gyms, and now the cage is back, and I just can't wait to see it all come together in a cage the way it's supposed to be, and the atmosphere in that venue with a cage in it is going to blow the roof off. I'm really excited.
It's a great venue. It's so loud. I don't know if it's the roof low or if it's just the people crazy, but it's
crammed in, but you get a lot of people in there. It's
best crowd I've ever been in front of, without a doubt. They're just going nuts. You were speaking about, obviously, Eternal and when it first started, and that takes us back to, where did Eternal start? What year? I mean, you came involved, I think it was Eternal 10 or 11 or something?
I actually co-promoted Eternal 11 with Cam, but I took a fighter over to the Gold Coast Southport Sharks for the inaugural Eternal MMA in 2012. Eternal MMA 1 on the Gold Coast. So yeah, 2012 is when Eternal 1 was born. I had a coach in the gym who was a well-known MMA fighter in the UK, a Scottish MMA fighter that Cam knew. He found out he was in Australia and was trying to match him for... So he sent me a message, I think it was on Twitter, which I don't even use anymore.
Was that even around back then?
He sent a raven. So, yeah, he got in touch with me via Twitter, and we just started chatting over Twitter, and it turned out Alan wasn't... he was leaving the country and wasn't going to fight. But we managed to get Josh Thompson on the card, who was another one of my... Not Josh Thompson.
Oh, I was like, what?
A young English guy of mine. He was my first fighter I took from the MMA clinic. And me and Cam just we just got along straight away. We always we had a mutual interest, obviously, and a lot of mutual knowledge from the UK MMA scene and people we knew. It's like when you click with someone, you get chatting to them, and then before you know it, it's like you've known them forever. Sounds a bit fucking romancy, this, but I can assure you.
Wish it would happen here.
Nah, that's not there. There's no chemistry. The spark is missing between us. But yeah, no, me and Cam have been mates ever since, and he was pestering me, come on, start Eternal in Perth, Perth needs an MMA show, blah, blah, blah. I was reluctant, I'm busy, I run the gym, I had a really successful personal training business, and I didn't have the time to do it.
Too. Yeah, hair.
I did have hair, yeah. I actually saw a picture of myself in that Time Hop app the other day. It says 4 years ago, and I was looking in the picture like, where's me? I must be in this picture somewhere. And I was right in the middle. I just had a fucking full head of hair.
Yeah, I did that with one of your photos for Ryan Gray post fight, and I was like, where's Ben? Why isn't he there? I'm like, oh, he's there.
Yeah, it's fucked what's happened to me. Ever since I started promoting shows, All my hairs fell out. I got wrinkles. I'm a state. Smells. Small penis. Oh, that never changed. But yeah. So we eventually, with Darren Reeves from Evolution, we put the first Eternal together.
How did you know Darren? How did you get into that?
Darren and I just became friends through the gyms and fights and stuff like that, and we shared a jiu-jitsu instructor. Like, he'd do classes there, so the team sometimes would train together. And yeah, just Darren wanted to start a show, and it just made sense that, you know, we all mucked in and got Eternal on the go. And you know what, it was fantastic. I'm so glad I did it. Like, it's been stressful, it's been hard work. I mean, for me it's hard work because I'm running a business and all that, and I've since had a baby and got married, and did that the other way around, got married and a baby. So obviously life's busy. Everyone out there knows how hard it is to juggle family life, work life, and then to add an event where everything is always going wrong.
It's fucked.
On top of that, with the stress, and you carry that around with your in your home life and stuff like that. But you know, at least I have the gym where I can, you know, I can receive a phone call during the day. I can send an email when I'm not busy working. Whereas Cam, on the other hand, is locked into a bloody proper start work at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m, finish at 5 p.m. Then he's up until...
Then the real job begins.
Yeah, it's I don't know how he does it. Like, it's insane the workload he puts on himself. And
I was just saying, learning like fighters in one state is hard enough. He knows them in the whole country.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's good to have me over here as the feet on the ground, and my knowledge of local fighters is, you know, getting there now after 5 years of being here. But yeah, over East, like I said last week, I'm trying to catch up and learn who all the guys are over there. But yeah, Cam, for me, without hands down, is the hardest working man in Australian MMA. Like, there's no one that even comes close. His work ethic is just ridiculous. And you know, I'll ring him when I'm travelling home from the gym. So I lock the gym up about 8 o'clock, so it's 10 o'clock over there. And he's just sitting in front of the laptop hooked into... And sometimes even later when I get home, like 9 o'clock, I'll ring him, it's 11. He's up at 5 to go to work, but he's, you know, oh yeah, I've got a couple of hours more work to do.
Yeah, he messages me and I'm like, mate, I'm asleep. And then I forget, I'm like, it's even later over there.
Yeah, he's a beast. He's an absolute beast. And we've got big plans for Eternal now. Like, now we're going to move it to the next level. We know we're starting to get some sponsors on board, having some really interesting conversations this week with some big companies that want to help Eternal, like what Eternal's doing, want to help Eternal move forward. So what we've set up is what I believe is, well, it's 100% Australia's most prolific MMA show. We pretty much have a show every month of Eternal somewhere in the country. You know, whether, you know, this best category gets touted about, I think it's the best, but there's every promoter should think his show's the best. Otherwise you wouldn't do it. But what we consistently turn out is exciting fights, well-matched fights. Everyone gets paid, everyone's looked after. It's a show for the fighters by ex-fighters. You know, we understand the other side of the coin. But that is nothing. The last 5 years has been setting up to the point that we've got to now, and now it's going to start taking off.
Why'd you get into this crazy sport?
It's funny, like I think back now. I'm sitting in an office in a huge gym in Australia.
It's massive.
There's and I remember when I took up MMA, and I was in the fire brigade, and in London.
Fuck, you've done everything.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a fucking job hopper. Love a man in uniform. So I remember I'd be training, so I'd finish day shift and I'd be like, oh, I've got to run, boys. They'd all be going to the pub after work, and I'd be like, I'm going off to training, and then I'd have fights and I'd bring the videos in, and people would be like, why the fuck are you doing this, mate? Like, why don't you just chill out? And it's never going to get you anywhere. You know?
What year was this?
2004.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I was like, no, you know, I love it. And then...
so when did you start training MMA?
MMA, I started training in 2004. Boxing, started training in 1993.
Oh, I was 1.
Yeah, I was 13. So, But yeah, I just stuck with it. It's something that is in me. Like, you know what it's like. You're a massive fight fan. It's hard to explain it. And
you can't break. There's two different worlds. Like, I'm in the mainstream radio world, and they don't cross over. Even now, they still don't cross over. It's so back in 2004 as well. It'd be hard to. There's no money in it.
Oh, we weren't doing it for money.
Yeah, so
but yeah, I just laugh at the people. You know, sometimes I'm sitting on the beach there, watching the dolphins swim by. I'm thinking of these idiots in a fire station in London. Not that they're idiots; they're heroes to a man or woman. But saying that I'd never get anywhere from it, and here we are,
watching
dolphins swim by, getting a suntan while they're grafting.
And then obviously, so why didn't you take up obviously trying to be world champ? What happened there?
I did. Like, I only had 4 MMA fights. It was really hard to get fights. Fights kept falling through.
Because of fear.
Yeah, that, or just other people couldn't be asked.
When was your first MMA fight? What year?
2006.
So how was the rules then? Was it?
That was the same.
Universal?
It was the same, yeah.
Still followed everything?
But, yeah, I won that by triangle, funnily enough, and I didn't really do jiu-jitsu at the time. I was just in the corner, and I was in that sort of position, and their corner was telling him how not to get triangled. And I sort of just flipped all the instructions and did everything that they told him not to do in reverse.
I once saw that. I think it's Mark Barnett. He's a boxer. He used to train at FFC, Fitness and Fights out in Northbridge, a long time ago. He was doing it wasn't B class, but it was like one of them hybrid MMA ones where it was like no striking on the ground. He was just a boxer. He didn't know anything. And he knocked the guy out, but the ref hadn't stopped it. And the guy's like just kind of flailing. And Steve Kennedy's like, I do an armbar. And he was like, I don't know how. And he just kind of sat in really slowly and then just pulled the arm back, and the guy tapped. And it was the funniest thing.
It was pretty amazing. Like, if I thought I was going to win a fight, it wouldn't have been by
that's the thing.
By devastating knockout. But yeah, so I was just fighting away, and you know what? I think what you'd describe as a gym fighter. Like, I was
great in the gym.
Fucking great in the gym. Had cardio for days. Not worried about the result, but and it was a different story when I got in the ring. Or the cage.
Were there bright lights when you were fighting? Was it a big stage or was it...
Bright lights, stripper poles, the lot, mate. It was, but yeah, I just never could translate my ability into the cage. It was really frustrating, and I used to spend, like, say I got matched, that whole 3 months, I'd put so much pressure. I wasn't scared, but I'd put pressure on myself. And that pressure would beat me up more severely than any opponent could ever beat me up, to no sleep for 6 weeks before the fight, because I was just thinking about it. It became all encompassing, and then I started coaching, and I was like, I really enjoy.
That would have tripled, yeah.
No, I actually really enjoy. I really enjoy coaching, and I thought, I don't think I'm ever going to be an MMA champion. I made that sort of conscious decision. I'm never going to be an MMA champion. I just don't have it, whatever it is. So rather than torture myself and go down this road and end up with a salty 10-10 record or something like that, I just thought, let's focus on the coaching. And it seems to be like, I believe I could coach a world champion, but I don't believe I could be a world champion. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, there's people that are the other way around, that are great fighters and they can't explain the bare basics to someone else because they never had that problem. They only know how to deal with their problems that they've had. So when you get different... That's why, obviously, MMA coach, especially around Perth, is... A lot of people do that, like, karate style. You know when you do a karate class and the instructor wouldn't train? And you just, like, listen to the instructor, but, the instructor isn't trained.
I've done a karate class, mate.
And that was like a fad. But that was like the whole fad, where I feel like with MMA, it's more respected. The knowledge that gets passed down, people... sort of put it into practice more. I mean, you have that with jiu-jitsu gyms. You've done jiu-jitsu.
I still do.
Where you get some instructors that don't roll, and some do it because of, bullshit reasons and all of that. And then some guys just don't do it because they don't have it anymore. They're hurt. That's how they're injured from getting to that level. So now they pass down the wisdom. But I mean, I think there's some great coaches in Perth, and like yourself,
Absolutely.
Darren's great. And it's not just the skill; it's how they explain it.
Well, there's a lot more to being a coach than showing someone a technique.
Yeah.
You become a bit of a father figure. You become a bit of a social worker. You know, and you have to work through it. Each fight is different, and you have to work for everyone's individualities, and you have to have that level of trust built up. You know, it's a pretty insane job, and then you have to watch that person that you've built up this really like deep relationship with, then go and have a fight, which is nerve-wracking, more nerve-wracking than fighting ever was. Like, but at least it doesn't kick in sort of weeks before it's sort of fight week. You start to get a little bit twitchy.
And what I've noticed with good MMA coaches is like in basketball, coaches are it's all fear. It's all like run, do this or you run, do this or you're subbed out, which is weird because it's not a scary sport.
Yeah.
In MMA, it's almost the opposite. It's like no one wants to get knocked out. So if you're telling me how to not get knocked out, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And you can just calmly tell me type thing. There's no fear. There's no, you don't listen to me, we're doing burpees. I mean, you probably have some people like that, but they're not people you end up training for long because they're hard to, you know.
Look, yeah, fighters are self-motivated because at the end of the day, they get locked in a cage with another human trying to kick the fuck out of them. So yeah, it's an interesting game, but I'm really glad. Like it's more than a game to me. It's everything to me. It's a passion that burns so deep inside me. It pisses my wife off. If I'm not in the gym teaching people how to fight, I'm at home watching fights, and you know it does become all encompassing. But
what's your number of fighters that you wouldn't go over because then you're not giving them enough attention? What's because you train a lot of people, and like if anyone's seen an Eternal event, you're running around because you've got every second fight.
There's a difference between, for me, I could have a big fight team and I could get them all working. There's camps out there with huge fight teams, and I'm not the sole coach. Like I have a boxing coach, I have a Thai coach, we have a jiu-jitsu coach. But you know, there's a limit to how many I'd put on a show. I've done 8. It's too many. So like 4 or 5 would be my maximum to do in one night now. And now I've got a team behind me like Ryan Gray looks after the amateurs a lot. If he's not fighting, then he'll deal with all the amateur guys, so I can focus a little bit more on the pro guys. And I've got Shane who helps me wrap the hand. I used to wrap all the hands, which really hurts my back sitting sort of like this, being a bit of an invalid sometimes. And
good old Shane Williams.
so I've got no, not Shane Williams.
Not Shane Williams?
Kiwi Shane Stewart.
Oh, Kiwi Shane. I was going to say, the other Shane Williams reminds me of what you were talking about, being great in the gym, but just not really wanting to fight that much, and injuries, and he was a guy like that. It was killer.
Yeah, he's an absolute beast, but yeah, he just, I don't know, he enjoyed life a little bit too much to be a fighter, I think.
There's so many guys like that. When I first started, I was just like a teenager, just kind of like, oh, this is sick. The amount of guys that were killers, and now their records are still just 3-1, but they still train. They still train hard. They're just fighting. It's
a big commitment, man. And for anyone out there thinking about doing it, have a proper. Like I said it's funny. I was having a conversation with the fighters after every MMA session. We sit and we have a debrief on the session, and we have a chat. And if there's anything I want to go through or stuff I'm going to say, and I was saying, if you're a pro fighter, you need to turn up to this class. You need to be in this class. This is what I want you to be doing. And someone said to me, I'm not going to mention his name, but he said to me, "Well, don't you want me to have a life?" I said, "You're a professional fighter. You get paid to fight. It's your job. If you're earning money to do something, it's a job. You turn up to your job. Whether you want to be there or not, you turn up to your job. There's going to be days where you don't want to do it. There's going to be days when you can't do it. But as a whole, you're to turn up because you've chosen to be a pro fighter. If that's not the life you want, then fair enough. You know, I'm not putting pressure on anyone to fight. But if you're a professional fighter, you owe it to yourself and to me to turn up and do your job."
Have you ever had to have that chat with someone? That goes,
I have it a lot of the time with a lot of people. You know, it's hard. And sometimes people just need it a little. They know it, but they just need a bit.
Some people think they want it, but they don't really.
But that's
want
fine.
It.
As long as you've had a go, given it. If you were 7-0 and you went, "This ain't for me," fair enough. You know, you've had your shot. No one can ever tell you that you didn't give it a crack.
Yeah.
It's the ones that say they want to do it, then I'm an about it, and they've got some skills and they're working, but then they don't follow through with it, and they don't end up trying it. Like, how do you know if you don't like something unless you try it?
Yeah. And I've noticed too, like, if you're at the event, if you're at an Eternal and you're watching a fight, and you think you kind of want to be a fighter, and there's a point where you go, oh, I don't know, probably not, because that should be the event where you're like, you want to be in there. You want
to fight for most is the easy bit. It's the 6 weeks of hell beforehand, going through training camp, and then for me, you do your fight, then you have a week off, and then it's development in the gym, and then 6 weeks of hard training, consolidating what you already know, and then it's not like, oh, I'll have a couple of months off, and then I'll come back from my camp. Otherwise, you're never going to improve.
Do you make you guys take certain time off for each fight, or do you judge it, or?
No, I don't make them take time off. I make them take 1 day off a week to recover. But no, if they don't want time off, I'm not going to. If they're mentally good and physically good, then.
But it is weird too, because if you want your weekend and you want Thursday and Wednesday off, there's a guy out there that's doing 5, 6, 7 days. So it's like,
and there's a guy doing 3 a days if you're doing 2 a days.
Like, there's no doubt. The first time I ever walked into an MMA gym was 2010. Do I have 7 years of skill? No, because I knew it wouldn't last. I was doing other things at the time and all that sort of stuff, but I don't claim to have 7 years of skill. The way I stayed in the sport was by doing it once a week for 7 years. Now that turns into maybe a year and a half of full skill, but I know what it is, and I know, especially being around a guy like Stephen Kennedy, who's a pro fucking fighter. You knew that if you wanted to do this is what you had to do. Where there's some other gyms, and I won't name gyms or guys, but where you go, I feel like you think you're doing it, but you're not. You're not kind of putting in the effort.
But when
you
anything
need to put
gets mainstream, that's what happens. The talent gets watered down with the extensiveness of the sport, and it's quite mainstream now.
Yeah. Well,
I've had a couple of funny emails. I'm not gonna this week, but one guy was telling me that he would beat the current Eternal middleweight champion, even though there isn't one. But
I would too.
I could think of a few names I could sling at him, and I've never fought before, and I know this probably sounds cocky, but I could.
Actually, that?
Yeah, he did.
Oh my god.
Then I Facebook stalked him. I was like, nah, you couldn't.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, no, it happens, mate.
There's only one hard and fast rule: is you can't talk shit about someone that's had a fight and you haven't had one. That's just the hard and fast rule. Even if you think he was horrible, he got the balls.
I don't know why anyone would talk shit about anyone. I'm not that guy that does the shit talking thing.
I think it's just a fucking human quality. It's weird.
It's not a quality, is it?
Oh, exactly. I think it goes back to animalistic days where it's like, oh, you look like the tougher person that can protect everyone. No, I'm tougher. I can.
The alpha male thing.
And that's where it fucking comes back to. And that's why the fights are so good, because it's two guys that go, I'm the toughest. And then one of them...
It's very primal, yeah.
Yeah,
primal
and it's
primal. That's
the side I wanted to highlight eventually, is the guy that loses is that next day. And, everyone cheers, great fight. But that guy goes home and he put in X amount of weeks of training and he lost. I mean, maybe it was only a split, like a razor decision. But he lost. And you must have to deal with some fighters with their confidence and all that.
Mate, it's so hard. Like, you've gone out there in your underpants and you've not got the decision, or you've been knocked out or choked out by another man that you believed you could beat beforehand. It's a tough sport physically, but mentally it's even tougher. And to bounce back, I think the key, and what I always say to my guys, is if you gave it everything you had, you can hold your head high when you walk out of that cage regardless of the result. If you know in your heart you could have done a little bit more, that's when you're going to have problems coming back from it. Because if you learn something from your defeat, then it was a worthwhile experience. But if you know you didn't go in there and give it all you had, and you didn't go out on your shield, then it's going to be tough for you to look at yourself in the mirror for the next few days. And yeah, I've dealt with fighters' disappointment, and I've sat there with them after the fight backstage. There's tears, there's a lot of emotion. Adrenaline, coming down off adrenaline as well. And I've had flights home with fighters that have not got the result they wanted. And
How's that for you when you have to be like, you know, you consoling them and then you have to be like, oh fuck, gotta go corner this next guy?
No, it's not. Well, when it's that scenario where there's a few of us, then generally there's someone there to stay with them. Do you know what I mean? Like when we travel, it's normally just one person, maximum two people. So we'll all be together. But yeah, sometimes in Perth shows I've had to leave them with the team, but that's why we have a team, you know. And the team sticks together and we pull each other through it. And yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. It's the toughest sport in the world, combat sports anyway. I'm not going to go into the individual disciplines, but combat sports where there's no like, oh yeah, I played well, but my team let me down. It's on you.
Yeah, and that's the thing, what's really good about MMA, because you've got this fucking boxing fight with Mayweather and McGregor, and when if McGregor loses, he can literally sit back and go, but if this was a real fight, I would win. Where in MMA, you can't do that, you know? Even in a jiu-jitsu match, it's a guy taps you, a bit of your ego is going, oh yeah, but if we were standing. Like, it's natural. That's what humans want to do. They want to make excuses. And so in the sport of MMA, it's all laid out there. It's like when you're talking shit in high school or whatever it is, and then the fight never happens and you just carry on with... In MMA, you fucking fight. And someone wins and someone loses, and you have to deal with that. And that's almost the thing that you can't understand until you do it. The win, obviously... the greatest feeling in the world, they say. But the loss, it's live by the sword, die by the sword type of shit. And then it's just funny to hear your side with the coaching, because...
Yeah, it's tough, and you know, I hate losing, and the fighters represent me. So, you know, I enjoy every win, and I feel every loss. You know, we had a little bad run a couple of years ago, and I was depressed. Like I was like, what am I doing wrong? Where have I gone wrong in my coaching? And sometimes you just lose, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're just not good enough on the day, you know. And you just got to keep grinding, keep pushing that boulder uphill. And
I think it's the fact that records last forever. So it's like you lose that fight in 2004 or whatever it is, it's there forever. You know what I mean? So it's like you feel that. Where if it's a jiu-jitsu match or maybe like something different, a basketball game, whatever it is, it kind of almost gets forgotten. You're a lot better now.
You can still be top of the league at the end of the season.
Yeah, which is quite weird. But in MMA, that loss stays, and I'm sure you see that guy, especially if you're in the same town, same city. You might still think you can beat him, but you always know he's always got that one up on you. So that part of the game is so interesting as well.
Yeah, I mean, you could talk all day about the psychology of fighting him. I'm no expert, only an expert in that. I've been involved in so many training camps, fights, post-fight, picking the pieces back up again, and you just get through it, man. You know, and I've heard it said many times recently on podcasts, but humans thrive in environments where they're challenged. So that's what is helping us. Is that
where you think maybe, you know how you just said before the guy was like, oh, don't you want us to have a life? Do you think maybe that's almost like a safety net to be like, well, if I lose, I still have a life, where if I commit 100% and I lose,
I think you need to find the way that you can have both. So, you know, your friends and family and loved ones should understand your quest and your goal at that time, and they should support you in that. And you know, you've got Sundays, you've got Saturday evenings. You know, there's time for you to have these relationships and stuff outside of the gym, but your window for being a top fighter is small.
And that's how, I mean, it goes back to when you're tired and you go to sleep. It feels a lot better than when you're doing fuck all and then you go to sleep, because you earn that shit. So
yeah, earn, you know, and that cheat meal and that burger after the fight, and you know, whatever it is, you've earned it, rather than just being a glutton and having it all the time.
Yeah.
It tastes that much better when you've earned it. So
that's why I love sparring on like a Friday afternoon, because you finish and that weekend feels like you fucking earned it. Like you get to kind of, even if you do fuck all for the rest of the weekend, you feel a lot better, rather than, I always talk about credit card and debit. If you notice how people will eat some shit and go, oh, well, I'll work that off later. and that's your credit card. And that's always bad. Where if you work hard during the week for Friday night, it's much better because you might not even use that Friday night to go out because you did such a good during the week. And it's like a debit card, like you've got this savings as opposed to the credit card where you're always batting from behind.
Yeah, it's you've done a bit of batting from behind in your time.
Yes, that's what I've used my credit card for.
When I left the army, I stopped boxing, and
Not the Australian Army either, though.
not the Australian Army, no, the British Army. I'm not going to go into it because we'll lose all our listeners. I stopped combat sports from 2001 to 2004. I had a 3-year break, but I still trained super hard during the week so I could go out and get pissed on a Friday, guilt-free, and eat whatever I wanted on the weekend. So yeah, I understand that, that train during the week, bank it up, and then just tear it all up on the weekend so that you didn't end up a complete mess. So yeah, there is a bit of that, but at the end of the day, if this is what you've committed to doing and this is what you want to be, then everything else should take a second, because it's not a game to half-ass. You can't.
And that's it. You can't take a fight off. You can't take a training session, even a training session off. You're getting a couple of hits to the head. Like every one of those counts. They're lining up.
Right, let's get Justin on the phone. I've had enough
sure.
of my hearing the sound of my own voice, and he's been waiting for us. So give him a shout.
Alrighty.
So we got Justin Van Heerden coming up, who will fight Diego, who we interviewed earlier. We're just getting our technology squared away. But yeah, Justin's coming off that superb win over Aaron Fisher on the last Eternal.
Is he expecting us to call right now?
I don't know. Just give him a bell. I think he's sitting by the phone, waiting for us clowns.
Listening live. No, that would be cool though. This is us calling him.
We've had this discussion last week.
Hello.
Hey Justin, how are ya?
I'm good, how are you?
Good, it's Mitchell here, and we're joined by Ben Vickers.
Hey mate, sorry to keep
How
you.
are you?
Yeah, good mate. Sorry to keep you waiting. Mitch was waffling.
So much.
That's all G, that's what we like to hear.
That's right. Mate, you got a big fight coming up. How you feeling?
Yeah, pretty good, It's another fight, another tough challenge. I guess, another step forward, hopefully.
You haven't really had time to let the Aaron Fisher win sink in yet. Like, how good was that?
It's all a bit sort of, I guess in that sense, no, not really. I mean, coming back from that fight, and then pretty much the Tuesday, I think it was, I messaged my coach Dave, and I was just like, if anything else pops up, or if we know anything, if anyone's looking for anyone, well, I'm more than happy to put my hand up again. So, and then I think Wednesday when I got in the gym, he was like, yeah, well, we got another fight. So
Be careful what careful what you wish for, mate.
Oh, that's going back to your last fight. Obviously, I'll put the link to your fight up, your most recent one. One by rear naked choke. You ducked under a kick and ended up on his back. Were you planning on going under that kick, or was it just a scramble that happened, or?
Well, I was sort of surprised because I sort of slipped when I threw the knee, and I ended up on my back. And then when I sort of got up to my feet, I was kind of surprised that he didn't throw anything or try to stop me from getting up. So as soon as I got up, and he stepped forward, I was kind of like, I kind of anticipated something like for him to rush back into me. But yeah, I guess I kind of ducking that kick, I did definitely feel the wind of it come past my head. So I was pretty happy that I got underneath it. Yeah,
man, it was. And I was backstage, so I didn't see it live, but I heard the roar of the crowd, and it must have been an amazing feeling to go there. You must have. You were definitely an underdog. You won't mind me saying that, I'm sure. Going into Aaron's backyard and getting the win there must have been probably the highlight of your career and make it all worthwhile thus far.
Yeah, well, for me, definitely. I never really want to have, obviously, I want to have the challenging fights. I want to have the tough opponents. I want to, be taking on people that are going to, regardless of the result of me winning or losing, that are going to, help me improve. So, going up against Aaron like that, and especially, like you said, coming down to his sort of hometown where everyone is, taking him on, taking up this challenge, and then get the win like that, it was just sort of, like I said when I spoke after, it was kind of like 4 years of hard work that's all sort of come together, and you know, came together so well on the night that I was able to sort of get a win and a big win like that in my pro debut, and now it's almost like it's really starting for me. So now the real journey's sort of starting.
We just spoke to Diego Pereira before. Is there anything about his game that really phases you? We spoke to him and he said there was not a thing that phased him. Is there anything that you're sort of worried about with him?
Oh, well, Diego's obviously, you know, another fighter that's got a few more sort of pro experience than me, but, you know, he's a pretty well-rounded guy. He's from a good gym, and I sort of get on pretty well with Paul and the sort of people from Southside there. I've got a few people that I know there, so, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I expect him to be competitive everywhere, like across the board, whether it's wrestling, on the ground, especially on the feet striking. So, I mean, I'm not one to sort of speak forwardly. I mean, I try to respect everyone and their abilities, but when I'm sort of in there with them, I think that's when I really sort of do what I need to and make the statement that I need to make.
Yeah, he was super respectful. You know, he respects your skills and had nothing but good things to say about you. But he also said that he expects to get you out of there quickly.
Well, that's obviously, as you know, in this game, that's sort of the attitude you got to have going into a fight. At the end of the day, it's a fight. You don't want to go in there and get your head kicked off your shoulders or be choked unconscious. But I mean, it happens. You know, we all know that. But I guess for me, the biggest thing is like when I sort of approach it, there's the two. There's probably say the two fighters, or the way I sort of try to emulate myself would probably be kind of the way that Robert Whittaker carries himself. Like, you know, I'll respect anyone that I'm about to compete against and share the octagon with, or cage, or whatever you want to call it. And then afterwards, you know, that's it. I'll shake their hand and we move forward. And whether I win or lose, I'm never someone that'll shy away from that. I mean, that's the coolest thing about this sport is the amount of people that you meet and the friends you make, and being able to say that you shared that crazy experience with someone. But the other thing for me is I sort of approach it kind of like Cowboy Post stuff. I'll fight anyone, anywhere, anytime. I don't care if it's a day, a week, a month's notice. So I just want to go in there, fight tough people, have fun, and hopefully get the win.
You're fighting in the co-main event. Do you feel any pressure in your second pro fight to be in the co-main event?
Not really. I mean, this is my 11th fight in total, and I guess, I mean, I used to sort of want to be like, okay, you know, I don't really want to be like one of the first people fighting or whatever, but as I go now, I'm just not really too fazed by it. I mean, I'm just soaking in the whole experience. I mean, it's pretty cool being the co-main event, and obviously Eternal, like, it's been such a cool experience to fight on Eternal so far, and Ben and Cam and everyone sort of looks after me really well and look after all the other fighters. So if anything, I'm super stoked that they've taken it to put me in that position. Yeah,
I mean, the only bummer about being towards the end of the card is you have to wait ages to get in there and get your hands on your opponent. But other than that, I mean, it's quite a nice spot to be in. You know that everything's building to a crescendo, and you're going to be sort of there at the top of it, and everyone's looking forward to your fight. So, yeah, good for you, man. I mean, how does it feel like having just turned pro? Have you had to change the way you train in terms of, are you still working, or are you full time? Have you given this thing a red hot go, or?
Yeah, I dare say, well, for me, it's pretty much like fighting's the number one thing, and anyone sort of close to me, like friends and family and you know, people in the gym with Dave and Tony and all my other coaches and teammates and everyone, like, people sort of know that it's my main focus. Like, I work sort of part-time so that I can train, focus on that more, and aside from that, the only other thing I'm doing is finishing off my Masters in Communications. But, you know, fighting's my number one focus, especially now that I'm pro. I mean, and even for me, the main thing is, like, I enjoy something this much, and it's never really where it feels like it's taxing or it's something that becomes hard, or you know, even on the days where you have like a really shit day, you just come to the gym, you train, you see the people around you that have been with you from the start, you know, and then you just keep going. It's the coolest sport to be a part of.
And how did you end up? Were you born in South Africa or were you born in Australia?
I was born in South Africa.
Is that where the nickname the Springbok comes from?
Yeah, well, the nickname sort of came from one of the announcers on one of the shows I fought on. Like, I think it was my second or third fight. He kind of just randomly just threw that in when he...
Was it Perry Kale?
It just stuck.
Was it Perry Kale?
No, unfortunately not. No, it was, I think it might have been Dave Mack, actually.
Oh, okay. Because Perry's got a habit of just making up nicknames on the spot.
Yeah, because I remember he just came up to me at the back and asked me about my, like, saying how to sort of say my last name, and then he was like, just making sure it's all good. And then when I was in the cage, he kind of threw that in there, and I was kind of like, okay, well, I guess that's that then.
Rookie. They shouldn't do that. What if it put you off? What if you laughed and took your killer mentality away?
Well, I guess if you look closely when I'm sort of there anyway, I'm never really sort of looking too menacing. I just enjoy it more than anything.
I remember when we were fighting on Valor, Ryan was fighting on Valor, and Perry Kale called him 50 Shades of as he walked out. And we'd bandied that around the gym a little bit, but, you know, we're trying to build a brand, and he had his own nickname, and I got really frustrated with Perry about that one because it put him off. Like, he actually looked
Ryan's
at me.
got one of the best ones in the sport, like, so he's doing well.
It's funny though, because that's the first thing that Ben said to me when I was ring announcing. He's like, "Don't fucking make up names."
Yeah. Like, I believe it's the fighter's moment, not the ring announcer's moment. So you don't need to still have that limelight or the show. The show's not about them. You're there to tell the story of the fighter, not make your own story up as you go along, sort of thing.
Well, it's kind of, I mean, it kind of, like I said, kind of stuck, and yeah, now it's become, obviously it's become like sort of a part of it, and I love it, so it works well, and, you know, it rolls off the tongue nicely.
So when South Africa play Australia in the rugby, who do you support?
Oh, it's difficult, but still my allegiance is a lie with South Africa with the Springboks.
Ooh.
I can't shy away from it.
Oh, we're trying to get you fans, man.
I like it, mate. Being an Englishman, I love when England beat Australia at rugby. It's fantastic, and I love when anyone beats Australia at rugby, for that matter.
Are you a walk out with a flag type of guy?
Probably not at this stage. I mean, who knows? I might do that. Depends. I guess it depends on the moment, depends on the fight, depends on what's happening, who it's against. So I don't know. I'm sort of just like, I don't know. Like I said, the main thing is, like, you know, we just train for however long you train for, and whether it's taking a fight and it's a week, a month, or whatever, and you put in the hard work, you grind it out. I just get there, soak it all in, and enjoy it.
And tell me what your relationship is with Super Mario.
Yeah, so I have a gigantic Super Mario tattoo on my right arm. I just love Super Mario. There's no way about it. I just love Super Mario. So.
Are you gonna get Luigi anywhere, or is it just?
Yeah, that is the plan, to get Luigi somewhere there as well, and add to that. But I just fucking really like Super Mario.
Stay away from their mushrooms though. We are testing. So
That was a really.
Unless it's mushrooms with my breakfast, so yeah, I tend to be the only time I have mushrooms.
And what is your so you say you're committed pretty much full time to the training. What is your sort of average daily routine for those that are listening that might be interested in what it takes to become a successful pro fighter?
Well, for me, obviously, it's sort of balancing out. So I mean, we train every day. Like our gym's open every day, and we train every day. And even aside from our sort of normal sessions that we do, whether it's our striking or wrestling or jiu-jitsu or whatever, I mean, I'm still trying to, during the day, early in the morning, sort of, you know, get up and go for a run or go for a bike ride, whatever like that. That's sort of how I start my day every day. And then, you know, I'm trying to do those sort of like crucial one-on-one sessions with either Tony, who's my strength and conditioning coach, or with Matt Parker, who's my striking coach. And, you know, trying to build on sort of like the little things. And I mean, I think that's essential too, but then also getting in there and getting in and drawing information and knowledge that Dave has, my head coach, and doing all the work with him as well. So, I mean, I think it's a good balance between doing sessions where you're with your team, your fellow fighters, you're grinding it out, you're all learning, you're all improving, and then also taking the time away to focus on yourself individually and work on the things that you need to work on and keep learning as well. I mean, you got to have that balance. And then probably the only other main thing I sort of stress to myself is just to find a good time to recover in between everything. And look after yourself, because I mean, at the end of the day, that's probably the main thing too. If you're not healthy, if you're not being able to sort of stay injury free and looking after your body, you can't do the thing that you like the most.
Cool, man. That's perfect. Yeah, awesome. Before we wrap this up, because I know Mitch has got to get to Pilates. Just is there any message you want to give to the fans that are going to rock up to the Mansfield Tavern next weekend? What do you want to let them know? What's going to happen in the fight, or what are you bringing to the table?
Well, I mean, I'm coming down to just put on another show and hopefully get another sort of first round finish under my belt. You know, make it 4 wins, 4 for the year, and get in there and just sort of have fun. But I mean, more than ready for an absolute 3-round back and forth war with Diego, because you know he's a very durable guy, very talented guy, so he can go either way. But I definitely encourage everyone to pack in, come check out the awesome fights that are going to happen on the night, and keep an eye on the main event, because like I said, it's either going to be like I'm planning on either finishing in the first round, which is that's nice, that's a good way to do it, but the only other option I see is it's going to be 3 rounds of back and forth brutal action between me and Diego, and we're going to put on the show.
All right, thanks Justin so much for obviously taking the time out to do this interview. Good luck on your fight coming up.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to it.
And I'll see you next week, mate. I look forward to catching up and look forward to seeing you bust some heads.
Yep. Sounds good. I look forward to it as well.
All right, have a good one.
Cheers,
man.
mate.
Yeah.
What a fine young man.
Very switched on young man who seems to have it all worked out, you know. And I'm still blown away by the way he stepped onto the pro scene, and you know what he did could, you know, for those that know Aaron, what he did was.
I think you spoke about Aaron in the first podcast with when we had Jack as a guest, but before that you were talking Aaron up quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Aaron, you know, is a setback, but as we said in MMA, there's nothing wrong with having a loss on your record in MMA. It's not like boxing where it's going to hold you back. So, but yeah, Justin Van Heerden, class act.
If you want to check his fight out, go to Eternal MMA. There's 2 great ones on there.
The link will be on the YouTube. Mitch will sort it out. He's my tech guy. That's why it's such a fucking nightmare.
Yep. It's like having Danny
comedian
as your striking coach.
Getting a comedian to do your tech.
Anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. I gotta get to Pilates. But
your core's looking really tight.
Yeah,
though,
thanks,
man.
man.
Keep it up.
Thanks. Guys, head over to obviously iTunes if you're on YouTube. Subscribe to Eternal MMA. If you're on iTunes, head over to YouTube. Subscribe to Eternal MMA. Event notes on not this weekend. It's next weekend.
Next weekend, yeah.
Next weekend at Mansfield Tavern. Eternal MMA 27 Pizza Supreme. That's Reign Supreme. You guys aren't going to call it that anymore, I bet. So if you want to follow Ben on Instagram, or hit him up for fights on Facebook. Don't hit me up. I cannot. Scrappy MMA.
London. LDN.
Scrappy LDN. I was wondering what the fuck that was. LDN.
It's the LDN, brother.
LDN. Yeah, boy. Cockney stuff. Hit that up on Instagram. Ben Vickers on Facebook. You can find me, Mitchell Tinley, on Facebook, Instagram if you want to send your hate mail there.
Yeah, send him some fucking abuse there.
Yep, other than that, just follow Eternal MMA on Facebook. And share, tell your friends, and come back next week, same time. Peace.
Peace.
Hey Diego, how you doing? Mitchell here, and obviously Ben on the other side.
Yo.
Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yeah, can you hear us?
Yeah, perfectly.
Awesome. Well, first off, how are you?
I'm sorry?
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. How about you?
Yeah, very, very good. Obviously, you're excited for this upcoming fight at Eternal 27 Reign Supreme. How has your training been going?
Yes, very excited indeed. Man, training's been great. We ever since my last fight, I've been going at it. You know, looked at what I did wrong and things that we could improve, and we worked at it. And now with this opponent, obviously we studied them. So we've been game planning and working on the things that we know that it's going to work, and we were confident we're going to go in there and get that W.
And you're back up at featherweight now.
Yeah, so basically I'm just, at this point I'm exploring back up at featherweight because I feel, I don't know if I'm cutting a lot to go down a bantamweight or what it is, but I'm fairly unexperienced still, obviously, with only 4 fights. Still a long way to go, a lot to learn, how my body feels, which weight division I feel best at, and things of that nature. So now I'm more experienced. I have more skills. I understand the game a little bit more. So I feel like if I'm not cutting, I feel like I'm hurting my performance when I go down a bantamweight. That's how I felt a little bit last time. So I'm kind of exploring. So that's why I wanted to go back up to featherweight, test out, if I don't have to cut that much weight, see how I feel and how I perform. So after that, we'll decide what we do. But yeah, this one's going to be a featherweight.
And are you still training out of Southside MMA?
Yes, sir. Southside is where it's at. Southside MMA, Arena, Mixed Martial Arts, Logan Central, baby. That's it. What's up? Who there?
I think the weight cutting does affect people negatively, so I think that's a great move to go back up to featherweight, be strong, be healthy when you get in there and full of energy and show your true potential. We've seen it before. You've got a 9-second knockout. You'd like another one of them, I'm sure.
Yeah, man. Look, there's no question in no one's mind that I've got the skills and the abilities. This is all, like I said, I'm fairly unexperienced. This is all a matter of time before everyone, not only in Australia, nationally, but in the world, will know my name. And they will recognize me for my skills and my abilities and what I'm capable of. And all of these guys that they keep putting in front of me, they're going to get a taste of it. And each time I'm going to keep improving. That's why I asked Cam for the best, that's available for, a good matchup that can push me. And each time I go in there, I look to improve. And whether I win or lose, I always look to see what happened, what went right, what went wrong, and try to improve so that next time I'm better, It's just a constant learning curve. And, yeah, like I said, I feel like as it's no question, no one's mind, weight cutting is a big issue, and it does end up hurting people's performance if done incorrectly. This is something I'm still learning. So not cutting as much weight, I'm fairly certain that I'll perform better.
And you must have been impressed with Justin's last performance, so you must be looking forward to a tough test.
Oh yeah, definitely. Justin is a tough dude. He presents a few challenges with as with any opponent. Big respect to him. Respect what he's done so far. But yeah, next Saturday, August 5th, he's stepping up a level, and honestly, it's a level he's not ready for yet. He's got the skills, he's got the potential, but when he's going to get in there with me, he's going to see that there's levels to this, and going to be a short night for him.
Is there anything about his game that particularly worries you?
No, nothing particularly worries me as such. We do know that he's got qualities, and obviously we know he's strong points, and obviously everyone has weaknesses. And we have a good game plan for him. We're gonna go in there. We're gonna expose it.
Cool. Now, Dario, we know you have to go in a minute, so obviously thanks for taking the time out to do this interview. But is there anything that you wanted to put out there, you wanted anyone to know, especially about this upcoming fight or about just you in general?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I do apologize for not being able to stay a little bit longer and just I got to be trained, prepared for that fight. But look, if there's one thing I gotta tell these people that are listening or whoever may come in to contact with this message, is that do not miss this next event, Eternal MMA 27, August 5th at Mansfield Tavern. It's gonna be a cracker of a night. Many great fights. I believe I'm currently the co-main, which is all right, but I'm looking for that main event spot next. So look out for me, Diego Pereira, Pantera Negra, the Black Panther. Swear to God, it's gonna be a great fight. Don't miss it.
All right, thank you very much, Diego.
Thanks, Diego. I'll see you next week. I'll be over there. Looking forward to see your fight.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate your time, man. Have a good one.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Eternal MMA Uncensored.